We'll also share the link to our website in chat, where you can view the recordings and materials from previous events, as well as register for the upcoming ones. At the end of this virtual event, we will also share a QR code with a direct link to register to our next event on the 18th of February on structuring a rolling pipeline of investment projects. Now, I would like to give a word to Maya Ferlins from ISMEA to say a few welcoming words.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Maya, and I'm a project advisor at ISMEA in the sector for the i3 instrument. And for all the newcomers, just a few words on what we are doing and what is the i3 instrument. So Interregional Innovation Investments Instrument is the funding program under the European Regional and Development Fund that supports interregional innovation projects in their scaling up and commercialization phase. So we are supporting activities like testing, piloting, validation, and market replication of the innovation. Very important element for the i3 instrument is the smart specialization priorities of the regions and interregional cooperation, as i3 instrument is really strengthening the regional innovation ecosystems, promotes the building of the sustainable investment connections, and it's also accelerating the market uptake of the research results. Year and a half ago, we started also with the initiative, which is called i3 Support Facility. This is an initiative funded by the ISMEA and implemented by the group of external contractors that provides the support to regional and national innovation stakeholders, to the public authorities, to the i3 project coordinators and beneficiaries, in their effort to strengthen the interregional innovation ecosystems in their regions. There are all sorts of very interesting activities and services created by the i3 support facility. I welcome you to check the website. You can find the observatory of all 70 projects that were so far funded by i3 support, i3 instrument. You can find the description of those projects soon. We will also launch the matchmaking platform. There are a lot of events organized regularly, like virtual events, which are monthly events. And we also have very successful discussion groups, which are groups of the 15 experts in every discussion groups that are discussing important topics for the i3 instrument and are providing valuable feedback also to the policymakers. And one of those discussion groups is also on the importance of building regional innovation ecosystems. And today we are going to learn about the findings of this working group in 2025. And basically, I wish you a very successful event, and I give word back to Justina.
Thank you.
Or to Matthew, sorry.
Yeah. No, not a problem. Thank you, Maya, for your introduction. I'm Mathieu Laca from the i3 Support Facility, and I will be the moderator of that session today. So as you have understood, today we are discussing about the role of innovation ecosystem management for better i3 instrument implementation. And that discussion is building on the outcomes of the policy discussion group that was established to exchange between policymakers and regional innovation stakeholders on innovation ecosystem orchestration in the context of i3 and how it can support i3 project. Two key questions were notably addressed during that policy discussion group discussion. One was, is there a minimum requirement in terms of ecosystem readiness for a good implementation of i3 instruments? And how could ecosystem orchestration contribute to preparing and support local SMEs for interregional collaboration in i3 project? And so this is what we want to focus our discussion today with our guest speakers. So for this purpose, we have invited first Mathieu Doucineau from the i3 support facility team will first provide key insights on the outcomes of the policy discussion group, and notably the main recommendations that have been worked with the member of the group. Then Javier Alvarez Benedi from the STI Commission of Castilla y León region will share with us a tool to assess the ecosystem readiness level to engage in I3 projects. And then in a second session, Tiziana Denitis, project manager at the Directorate General for Research, Knowledge and Enterprise at the Emilia-Romagna region, will share her experience on how the good orchestration of innovation ecosystem management contribute to prepare and to support local SMEs for interregional collaborations in I3 projects. And last but not least, Dina Pereira, which is the CEO of Neurosoft, which is a biotech startup, and which is also executive director of the incubator at the University of Beira in Portugal, will provide a specific insight on how an entrepreneurial university-based ecosystem can be conducive to participation to I3 projects. So if I may first let you the floor, Mathieu, just to present a bit, to set a bit the scene by synthesizing the main discussion that you have had across the 3 meetings that you have had in 2025. Mathieu, please, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Mathieu. Hi, everyone. So I'm Mathieu Doucineau. I was had the honor to be in charge of the coordination of this discussion group. Can you put the next slide, please? Yeah. So we had today is the day of the final step of a long process because it started 1 year ago. With the selection of the topic, management of ecosystem for good implementation of I3 instruments, selection of experts, and the discussion group started with a kickoff meeting, as you see, in April 25, where we set the scene and we try to frame the topic. And it's also this first kickoff meeting, because it was a group exercise, and I will insist on that. You will see after the list of the member of this discussion group. The objective was to create a group spirit lasting along all this process. We had a second meeting, so we had work between meetings. So it was long meeting, more than 3 hours long. And during the second meeting, we collected the participant contribution, and you will see how we organize ourselves. The process was really interesting and quite original, I would say, to end with a face-to-face meeting, presential meeting, physical meeting in September in Brussels in ESMEA premises, where when we discussed and we validate some recommendation you will see at the end of this presentation. We submitted then and we drafted all this information, allow us to draft a policy brief that were submitted first in October, and it has been published really few days ago, I think 1 week or 10 days ago, and it's now totally available for everybody. And now we are at the webinar, and we will present the main results. Next slide, please. So yes, important, the group members, because I have to say and to really say big thank you to all these members. I know they are following us today. So it was part of the I3 support facility. We selected those members based on their own work experience, but also from where they were coming from. So from the complementarities. So you have people from university, regional, national authorities. You have people of intermediary organization, such as clusters and things like that. You have people from Eastern Europe, Western Europe, South, North, and all this made this a process really interesting. Just one thing, we're going to have like the presentation today from Javier, coming from, I say a few words, Javier, about your region, because I think it's important, from Castilla y León. Castilla y León is the biggest region in Spain, before Andalusia, I realized today, and it's like bigger than Portugal. So in terms of ecosystem management, it is something, and it tells something. Dina Pereira is coming from a quite remote territory, I would say, from the central region in Portugal. And she's from like University of Beira Interior. It is inland. So it is like in terms of also like ecosystems management, it's another thing. I would say, like, allow me to say, like, it's almost like a rural territories. And I think it tells like also like from where you it's really, really important. And then Tiziana Denitis, like, it is the opposite. It is like Tiziana is a guest advisor, and we were like free to invite some people to complement our work. So Tiziana is like from Emilia-Romagna, working for the regional agency. And of course, Emilia-Romagna, you know probably, but according to the Regional Innovation Scoreboard, it's like a strong innovator, when Castilla y León and Centro are moderate innovators. So moderate innovators means like the idea, the concept of like of governance of regional ecosystem makes like a lot of sense, and a good governance and good strategic choice in terms of policy making can make the difference. Okay, so next slide. We had like a fourth presentation. I have to say a few words about Josep Casamada from Catalonia, and Catalonia was like, it's like a strong innovator, and like Josep couldn't make it, unfortunately, today, but he was like supposed to talk about fragmentation of the ecosystem in the case of the textile industry. And it was another like a hot topic when we talk about ecosystem management. But you have all the information in the policy brief anyway. This slide is important because it allows us to it's the background of our work as discussion group. It allows us to frame our like working process. On the left side, you have like the challenges like extracted from ecosystem-related challenges extracted from a report, insight report, extracted from the analysis of the first generation of I3 projects. And on the right side, we have the question that like they came after the kickoff meeting and that were validated, and they were like explained more in the scoping notes, also in public. It's publicly available on the I3 Support Facility website. So we have 3 questions. We're not going to cover today the 3 questions, but in the policy brief, those 3 questions are covered. I won't like read the slide because I don't have the time, but you will see after on which question we will focus today. Next slide, please. So it is, yes, I forgot to tell you, we ask between the first and the second meeting, all like this member of the discussion group to provide to the group contribution. This contribution was like made around, as I said, like the challenges and the questions. So we ask like each member to pitch for 10 minutes with like 3 slides in front of the group with like the question they had chosen and the challenge they had chosen. This is like this table like presents like a short, like a quick analysis of the contribution we have received, and those contributions we extracted like the main topic discussion members like wanted covered actually, and there were like 11 topics. We see like the topic 2 and 3 are more covered, of course, because they are the broader and they are addressing the question of I would say like it's like an evaluator term, like coherence. So internal coherence is meaning like the strategic alignment, the multi-level governance, what is happening within the regional ecosystem, and the external or horizontal coherence, what makes the connection between regional ecosystems. So you see like, and of course, the sum of this contribution is like above the number, the participant number, because like members could like cover like several topics. Okay. Next slide, please. So this is a synoptic representation actually of the topic, and you see like we have like two different regional ecosystems like that can be based in different countries, and we gathered like the topic raised that emerged from participant contribution according if they were like considering addressing like a dimension within the region, or the dimension like external dimension, meaning between the regions. Yes, so this is like this graph like is also like in a policy brief. Maybe next slide. Yes, so it is one of my last, I think it's my last slide. It is like the final result. It is like the 10 recommendations that emerge of all this like a 10 months work. I won't read all these recommendations, just like I introduce like the next presentation. So first, today we're going to cover the first recommendation, recommendation 1. It is like coming from interesting idea coming from Javier about like the development and use of an ecosystem readiness level framework to assess regional capacity and gaps, similar to the TRL scale. Recognizing maturity differences between regions and the innovation ecosystems. Recommendation 5 it will be presented by Tiziana De Nittis from Emilia-Romagna as like a very good example, like an interesting practice implemented in Emilia-Romagna as like a way to orchestrate orchestrate ecosystem. We moved like little by little from the word management, which like not really less appropriate than orchestration. It's like difficult to manage an ecosystem, but we more like orchestrate an ecosystem. So Tiziana will present like a nice case of like what they are doing in Emilia-Romagna. And then the 6th recommendation, the role of the university and university alliance, and also intermediaries, like in terms of like supporting knowledge valorization, talent development, and regional integration. This is like next slide. This is, you will see like the link for the policy brief. You're gonna have on this, you have like everything, the policy brief and the scoping notes. And I think this is my last slide. So I give the floor to, I think it's Javier, the following speaker. So yes, Javier, I give you the floor.
Thank you, Mathieu, and good morning, everyone. First of all, I am very grateful for this invitation, and I will present some ideas which are in fact outcomes of the discussion group. So I will not claim authorship at all, because it's the result of a discussion group. So next slide, please. I would like to start with an observation from practice. You will probably agree with me that the best performing interregional collaboration projects usually start at regional level. And here is where the opportunity lies, because in one side we have the I3 instrument, which is about connecting ecosystems in a long-term interregional collaboration framework under ensuring strategic alignment. And in the other side, we have the smart specialization strategies, which has been developing the ecosystem during the past years. And the opportunity then is to connect these two sides for the outward-looking S3 ecosystems with this long-term vision on interregional collaboration. As Maya fairly previously said, I3 may significantly reinforce the achievements of the regional ecosystem. So this is great. And this was one of the challenges identified in the missed opportunity identified in the Insight report in 2024. So we started with exploring this opportunity. Next, please. So once we have identified the opportunity, the next step would be to to see what are the conditions for effective ecosystem connectivity, and we have some lessons learned from practice and also common sense. The first is that interregional actors actions must build on existing ecosystems, so you don't need to invent a new ecosystem for an interregional project. Also, we know from practice and lessons learned that multi-level connections are stronger between ecosystems. Therefore, we have to prepare ecosystem orchestrators such as technology centers, clusters, etc., to act as connectors between regions, not only within regions. And the third lesson learned is that managing ecosystems actors around challenge-driven agendas are better for interregional collaboration, because it is easier to match challenges than wider, let's say, priorities. That's why the mission-oriented policies are now the focus of much attention, and not only because the experimentation in policies and etc., but also because this is easier to work together. So putting all of this together, it points to think that there is an opportunity to think in terms of regional readiness to interregional connectivity. And this is not a single factor, but it is a set of factors such as political support, the strategic alignment, the robustness of the local ecosystems, or funding, for example. Next slide, please. This is an illustrative example from the governance of the RIS3 flagship initiatives in Castilla y León. I will start with the picture in the left-hand side to show you. We have the government providing strategic orientation, policy implementation, and coordination with other policies. I mean, innovation with health, with energy, other policies, because innovation is just not, today is not a single isolated policy, but it is embedded in all the ministries. And then we have a technical coordinator, the ecosystem orchestrator. In Castilla y León, usually is a technology center, which is in charge of the entrepreneurial discovery processes of the participatory governance, mobilizing three key elements, which are capacity mapping. So they have to try to engage all the strengths of the autonomous community. Also, identification of opportunities, which is at the core of the discovery process. And at the end of the day, you have to launch new activities and transformative projects. So these are the characteristics already mentioned above in text. So combining strategic steering with operational leadership, empowering intermediaries, demonstrating impact by involving market-oriented approaches. I forgot to mention that we usually work at TRLs above 6, and connecting these key elements, capacities, opportunities, and funding. So with this example, even if it is not descriptive, it is illustrative, we can see in the right-hand side that this governance model, this ecosystem, provides some interesting interregional, elements for interregional collaborations, such as political support, strategic alignment, leadership, and market-oriented activities. Next slide, please. So even at this stage, we can see some benefits of S3 linked ecosystems for interregional collaboration. First is that they are multi-level, they have multi-level governance, which is better, as we said before, to engage with other partnership or the ecosystems. Also, the challenge of actor fragmentation, which is recognized usually as one of the most important challenges for interregional collaboration, is already addressed with this S3 ecosystem model. And the other interesting benefit is that the S3 linked model enhances the potential long-term impact of the interregional collaboration. So it is something very well aligned with the vision of the I3 or instrument in general. From this point of view, the S3 is not just a strategy, it's an outward-looking platform for orchestrating and connecting the ecosystems. Next slide, please. So now at this point we reach to the main question of the presentations, which is, could we define a tool to assess the ecosystem readiness level? And if you remember what Mathieu has presented about the challenges of addressed by the discussion group, we were talking about vertical challenges and horizontal challenges. And considering the outcomes of the discussion, we could identify 5 groups of elements or aspects which could be assessed by the regions to understand what are their strengths and the gaps that they have to cover to perform well in an interregional collaboration project. The first is related to institutional capacity. We have mentioned already before the political support, the existence of an ecosystem orchestrator, which will be also described later, I think, in more detail, and the existence of strategic steering and administrative capacities in the region. There is a second level in this vertical axis, which is the properties of the ecosystem, existence of a shared vision, participatory governance, and the culture of trust and collaboration, and this outward looking, for example. This is also configures a group of elements to be assessed in terms of readiness. And the lower layer is related to support policies available in the regions. Not only the research and innovation portfolio of instruments, but also, and more importantly perhaps, capacity building instruments that are also developed in the policy brief. And concerning the horizontal axis, the elements related to interregional collaboration, we have two group of aspects. First is related to capabilities for connecting. To make a clear example, for example, existing experience or in interregional collaboration before, or interregional, regional, and interregional research and innovation activities, for example, or existence of structures, points of contact, etc. And the last group is related to the strategic alignment. This might be more topic related, the existence of shared challenge and objectives, for example, or the multi-level policy alignment that we mentioned before. So these numbers in circles are the recommendations compiled in the policy brief, which are related to most of the groups already described in the slide. The number one is precisely the potential opportunity for developing this readiness level. Readiness level for international collaboration. So the last slide, please. Next, please. Thank you. So what could be the key takeaways of my presentation? First, ecosystem readiness starts at regional level. This is something that seems to be very clear. So we have to start working first there. Second is that the smart specialization is a key enabler of readiness. So welcome smart specialization. And third, developing a self-assessment tool for ecosystem readiness could help regions to identify strengths and gaps and better prepare for effective interregional collaboration under the I3 instrument. So thank you. This is my contribution on behalf of all the group.
Thank you, Javier, for a very clear presentation. I wanted to come back on your slides about the framework or the tool to assess the ecosystem readiness level with the 5 dimensions, and to ask to Tiziana, which is coming from Emilia-Romagna, amongst the 5 dimensions of the ecosystem readiness level that you are proposing, Javier, institutional capacity, ecosystem, support policies, capability, strategic alignment. What is, from your experience, Tiziana, in Emilia-Romagna, the most crucial and the more challenging also to meet? If you can give a bit of insight from your region and to compare with Castilla y León.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So basically, let's say that even though it could even sound strange, but really the most crucial but also challenging aspect is basically the strategic alignment, especially in mature and multi-actor ecosystem like in our cases. Why? First, because the alignment is dynamic, is not structural. And it requires continuously the renegotiation of some aspects. First, we have to consider that technologies are always evolving, EU priorities are always changing, and companies can enter or exit value chains quite easily. Consequently, it is really demanding. At the same, similarly, so let's say that, so basically the success can really make alignment harder, but here it comes, let's say, a magic element, which is the proactive involvement and the sharing of the perspectives, strategies, and priorities that at political level, a region, like in our case, have, and involving actively the stakeholders and the different, let's say, souls that we have within our innovative ecosystem. But it is possible thanks to 2 elements. First, because we are trusted, but this trust has been gained through the years, and we are recognized as a leader. So basically, we gain trust, and at the same time, leadership was given us by our stakeholders. And so that's, let's say, that's the main element, and that's it. So from my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiziana. So that means that the strategic alignment also needs to sustain the dialogue between the different actors, and the sustainability of the dialogue is key to adjust to the dynamics, because indeed the changing dynamics is probably one of the challenging aspects.
Yes, right? And you have to keep this dialogue, of course, alive and without leaving anyone, behind. So taking into consideration all the different souls, all the different needs, in order to be fully aligned and really to be in the position to successfully lead all the actors, and then elaborating joint actions.
And Javier, in Castilla y León, what is the recipe to maintain that strategic alignment over the years?
Well, it is really a challenge because it starts at the regional level, because the distribution of competences, it's a nightmare for a regional strategy. So it's a lot of communication going on, working with internal structures, and then at the regional level, we have put our effort, and it is really something that needs time because it's a cultural change, but we put our effort in the governance structures, in the flagship initiatives. It is easier because it is only a few of, there are 4 or 5 now, and the stakeholder, even we are a large region, the number of, we are only 2.5 million inhabitants, and the number of companies is not so high, so we can work thematically in this. So it's difficult, it's a continuous effort, and the key, I think, is that it is above the political cycles. So we have now elections in 1 month, but we are not afraid of changes in this because the system already reached this kind of maturity that the stakeholders are already convinced that that is the best way.
Okay. I'm taking one comment or feedback from the audience. One question is to a certain extent to what extent the institutional capacity dimension that is the first dimension is a prerequisite or not to the rest of the elements, because to a certain extent, indeed, without the institutional capacity, how to design support policies, how to have a good orchestrator of the ecosystem, and so on and so on. So did you cover that in your discussion about is there any more fundamental element into that readiness level framework, Javier?
Well, we were not in depth. Thank you, Luis, for this question. I think it's a lot of work to go to do before or after this discussion, and probably Mathieu can also complement with other ideas, because we have been discussing. Now we realize that in the literature and there are other projects going in parallel directions. So yeah, probably we could identify some critical aspects or level 1 aspects and then go to level 2 aspects to fine tuning the assessment. That's a very interesting question. Thank you.
But if I may, I think that that question about institutional capacity, notably in the less developed region, is clearly something which is a cross-cutting challenges that we are discussing across the different policy discussion groups. The first topic of the policy discussion group was about how to engage managing authorities in I3 project, and of course that question about institutional capacity building is probably one key element. What I propose now is to move to your region, Tiziana, and to make a deep dive in how in your region basically you are managing or orchestrating your innovation ecosystem management, and to what extent it does contribute to the involvement of the SMEs into the I3 project, into interregional collaboration more broadly.
Thank you.
So please go ahead.
Yes.
Tiziana.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, as said, I'm working for Emilia-Romagna region, and the directorate where I belong to is also managing authority of ERDF and also of the European Social Fund Plus. So let's say that we are in a privileged position. The first slide, please. Can you move it? Okay, so here, just to give you a frame of what our regional environment is about. So of course, there are some prerequisites, let's say, that are fundamental, because in terms of infrastructure and in terms of consolidated relationships, we are quite strong. And indeed, this is the recognition that we got from the EU. So basically, we have a strong regional university system with also infrastructure in terms of research infrastructure as well. And there are some relevant research centers that at the national level have decided to have some regional branches in our territory. And we have a lot of activities devoted to research, but research combined to the market. Next slide, please. What has come, for instance, so this is an example within the blue economy, is that thanks to this kind of very well-structured innovation ecosystem, and thanks to also interregional and international collaborations, we were setting up quite recently, just to give you an example, the Blue Economy Strategic Forum. What this is about? It started on two sides in parallel. We decided to have a dedicated working groups coordinating all the different directorates within the regional administration in order to favor the exchange of information concerning initiatives and projects and whatever was related to the blue, in order to get a complete frame of all the actions we were as region and coming from different sectors promoting outside. And at the same time, because blue economy is really becoming more and more relevant for different reasons, we also decided decided to launch this Blue Strategic Forum to provide a place of discussion, of planning, of exchange of ideas, and in order to promote joint action. This is really a clear example of how different souls and different experiences and multi-scope, let's say, place was coming to the light finally. Next slide, please. How it works. Basically, in terms of objective, of course, the main aim is to keep monitored in order to exchange the knowledge of what it is on internally and externally. Consequently, we want to provide a place for meeting, discuss, plan, activating synergies, and in alignment with also the national policies, international policies with the EU targets, and everything comes together also in full alignment with the S3 strategy. Who are the participants? Authorities at the different levels, and of course, above all, I would say also SMEs, apart from the research centers and our regional system of clusters that are acting in different sectors. Then what is the tool? The tool basically, let's say that for sure are the meetings that on regular basis are implemented. And what was really interesting was also the matching of our objective at regional level in providing this kind of place of experience, exchanging experience and planning also future actions together with the Blue Ecosystem project methodology concerning the co-creation transformative innovation labs, which means, for instance, concerning the priorities we identified and related to the blue economy within our S3, we were collecting all the needs from our regional territories, and in combination with these EU-funded projects, we were so launching some, let's say, complex challenges to manage. And thanks to the active involvement of research centers and companies, there were solutions provided. And these solutions were also enabling to have synergies, to activate synergies. Example, I don't know, an aeolic plant installation together with aquaculture installation. For instance, in peaceful coexistence, this is a very good case. And so that's the, let's say, again, as an example, one of the tools that are involved in the BlueAir, that is our regional strategic forum. And the impact, what is that the blue economy and all the different needs that are related to the sectors that are many within the blue are raising more and more awareness towards different actors, but also towards the citizens. Then, of course, synergies are coming out, which are really very welcome if we consider the very difficult topic that is the maritime spatial planning. Can you imagine how fruitful it is to combine the different sectors to cooperate and work together to find synergic solutions? And of course, so developing projects, developing ideas and possible solutions with the involvement of the research soul. So with high-tech solutions to be put in place. Next slide, please. And here a slide that wants to give an example of this kind of alignment. Well, of course, because we are a regional authority, to give an idea about the different strategies that we have combined, how they are aligned, of course. So the Pact for Work and Climate, the targets that comes from EU, but that drove us to elaborate the Regional Agenda 2030, rather than the commitment towards the mission Ocean and Waters that was already taking place in 2022, and then of course the alignment with the other funds. Next slide, please. At international level, what happened? Of course, what was our experience, our knowledge was shared also at international level. This was was driving us to lead, for instance, Blue Ecosystem. That is just one of the many examples that we have at regional level. So in the blue sectors, then there was also our active involvement in the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership of Horizon with the creation of a financial instrument instruments that is the first in Europe where a region is making this kind of experiment. So linking basically the funds allocated through the this partnership within Horizon, together with a part of our ERDF, in order to support more the participation of enterprises from our region, to give an example. And in addition to this, of course, as said, the commitment within the Mission Ocean and Waters, and as a region, we were voted by the other Italian regions to be the coordinator of them within the national technology cluster that is devoted to the blue economy. Next slide, please. So coming to the point and considering so the I3 instruments, what are the key requirements for a good implementation? For sure, in order to let's say to create the condition that the investments generate concrete and relevant results, a critical mass is important. So in terms of, as I said, the active involvement of SMEs, research centers, and public authorities, cooperation is also another key element. The capacity in terms of administrative and governance capacity, of course, is another element, but as also Javier was mentioning before, the alignment with ES3, and of course let's say the presence of innovation infrastructure at regional level. So the ecosystem readiness matters, of course, because it facilitates that everything is going to happen in terms of projects that have relevant impact. Next slide, please. So it was said before, the ecosystem orchestrations is important. Yes, it is. It is because the ecosystem orchestrations basically facilitate the coordination of the entire system and the involvement of all these actors. Also because, so basically enables the connection between SMEs with other relevant partners. If we want to promote projects that are market oriented, we need to support the involvement of SMEs, dialoguing more with the research environment. Otherwise, research will be just a standalone, let's say, box. Then the ecosystem orchestration can facilitate the trust building, a long-lasting collaboration, the access to knowledge, mentoring, and supporting, of course, the alignment with the strategies that are already in place. And of course, to get more familiar, can facilitate also the access to the I3 instrument. Next one, please. So what is the benefit? Let's say that is a kind of reciprocal benefit, I would say, because on the one side, the I3 interregional collaboration, but also a regional ecosystem like ours are feeding each other, because basically through the I3, so in the ecosystem orchestration can, of course, make a push on the SMEs to become more proactive, to participate more in this kind of opportunities. Collaboration costs and risks also are somehow reduced. Innovative projects can really become more scalable and market-oriented. And of course, this can be very beneficial from my point of view for less developed ecosystem, because they can really integrate more at European level. So basically, the ecosystem orchestration really strengthens local capacities, enabling also successful implementation of the I3 partnership. And I would say that, well, that's it for my side. Thank you. I don't hear you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, before giving the floor to Dina to make a further step into innovation ecosystem with the case of Entrepreneurial University, if I might ask you one question to provide a bit of clarification on your last slide, Manon, if you can go back on the previous slide. What do you mean by innovation project become more scalable and market oriented? Can you elaborate a bit further? What are the benefits and how it happens?
Yeah, sure. Well, because basically, let's say that one of the problem that also Javier was mentioning before is that there is fragmentation. So the ecosystem orchestration can help to prevent so fragmentation, consequently creating this kind of stronger connection between so the enterprises and also with the research centers. A regional ecosystem can already detect much more easier those ideas and projects that are mature enough to be closer to the market. Consequently, it is, let's say, easier to support them and to make them really ready to take these opportunities. And similarly, let's say that is a kind of exercise that can also favor, so the I3, instrument can also favor a kind of alignment of regions around complementary rules within the same value chain, for instance. So basically, the orchestration really can turn the I3 collaboration into scalable and market-oriented value rather than, standalone interregional projects.
Yeah. Thank you, Tiziana, for that interesting insight. I propose I'm looking at some of the questions reaction, but I propose to move to Dina because it's quite interesting now to look at what can be the specific role of universities into innovation ecosystem management, and to what extent it can also contribute to interregional collaboration across regions. And then we will take some questions. Dina, it's on you. Please.
Yes, thank you all of you for being here. And indeed, it is important now in the sequence of my colleagues' presentations to talk a bit about the role of orchestration and also of embeddedness, that I will explain more, of innovation ecosystems to support and also to shape successful I3 projects, design, implementation, and impact, of course, in the whole ecosystem stakeholders. So next slide, please. So just to contextualize, I'm not only an academic, I'm also an entrepreneur, and I'm also, as our presenters said, the executive director of an incubator. So this case that I'm going to show you is a practical case study funded from an initiative fund from the Horizon Europe. The fund is called, the project was called EcoAction, and we have performed an analysis in 2024 to 6 EU academic ecosystems. So academic ecosystems involving partners like incubators, accelerators, and also interface centers and clusters from Portugal, Spain, Germany, Austria, Hungary, and also Finland. Next slide, please. So we wanted to understand embeddedness, and embeddedness should act here as a lever for the ecosystem orchestration. We have here a core principle. So the economic action should be embedded in social relations, and this concept of embeddedness must shape how the entrepreneurial activity will develop within the academic ecosystems, and of course academic ecosystems integrated in all the environment ecosystems. We should mention here 3 dimensions of embeddedness. The first one, the societal, the second one, the territorial, and the third and last one, the network dimension. The societal involves everything around policy, institutions, regulatory, and also cultural frameworks. The territorial is about the geographic anchor and the regional economic dynamics. And the third and last one, the networking, is the structure of the stakeholder relationships and collaborations. Next slide, please. So what about the smart strategies, the S3 linked ecosystem framework for the I3 instrument implementation? We should match interregional innovation investments with, of course, smart specialization strategies in 3 levels to integrate operations within a strategy. So the ecosystem actors must lead operationally, and the governmental agencies must provide strategic direction. Second level, empowering intermediaries. Technology centers and clusters and other stakeholders must assume the leadership and connect within and between regions. And the third lever is the link core components. It's about finances, it's about opportunities and capacities that must be strategically connected. Next. We performed, as I told you, a multi-stage analysis, a case study with some sort of mapping analysis approach. We have covered startup life cycle stages, from idea to exit, passing through launch and growth of the startups incubated, with the key focus of highlighting tools, routes, people, and also support mechanisms at each of these 4 stages. And we also mapped and identified the main stakeholders like entrepreneurs, mentors, investors, policymakers, etc., etc. We have performed this by using the survey methodology combined with the meta-analysis validation across the 6 European academic ecosystems. We had a major focus to check the maturity levels of the regional ecosystems that can support regional startup growth and potentially benefit from an I3 project. It is extremely important for you to look at this focus, and also the introductory note on myself from Matthew Docineau, when he was mentioning that, for example, my ecosystem is a smaller ecosystem in an inland region. But please pay attention that we were 6 ecosystems with different maturity readiness levels. So this is the scenario that we want to show you, that the maturity levels for sure impacts, but when we strategically can combine different stakeholders with different maturity levels, we can achieve diverse levels of success in implementing S3 combined with I3 projects. Next slide, please. So some critical success factors and some important enablers of the ecosystems that we found out in the study. For success factors, of course, networks. Networks are top enablers and top critical success factors that we should highlight. Then visibility and promotion. Then social capital development, mentoring and coaching, and also, of course, support services, facilities, infrastructures, access. The I3 instrument key enablers here play a crucial role in fostering and facilitating collaboration partnerships, in supporting management and supporting the teams that are enrolled, coaching and also the incubators, events, and of course, infrastructures and facilities access. Next slide, please. Let's talk a little bit about this small scheme. It is about the mechanics behind the embeddedness and the orchestration of ecosystems. I'm talking from a university, okay? And we are involved, embedded in a regional innovation ecosystem to perform our activities, the main missions that we have, to perform research and development, to perform high level and quality teaching, and also to perform our third mission. So this is facilitated by 3 levers: inbound, outbound, and interactive. Inbound, it's about pulling regional capabilities into the university's R&D and teaching. Outbound is about pushing university innovation and specialization into the regional economy. And the third one, the interactive, is the third mission activities that create feedback loops within and with regional stakeholders. Next slide, please. So let's talk about how smart specialization strategy should serve as a tactic and should serve as an external coordination platform that links regional and interregional ecosystems and prevents fragmentation and also enables strategic alignment. So there are some improvement needs that we also identified that are correlated with the topic of today, S3 strategy and the I3 instruments, to strengthen horizontal connections between ecosystem orchestrators, again, with different maturity and readiness levels, to align funding instruments with entrepreneurial life cycle stages, because every ecosystem are or is under different life cycle stages, and to build institutional capacity for exit stage support, and of course, enhance staff skills, capacitate people in entrepreneurship and ecosystem and innovation engagement. Next slide, please. And some strategic actions for the I3 successful implementation that we also found embed the smart strategies planning within the university's third mission strategies, but involve top-down level and bottom-top level. Strengthen interregional partnerships through innovation intermediaries. This role of innovation intermediaries is crucial. And this role is played by several stakeholders. Also, the ones that are hosting here today, they are innovation intermediaries. They support this strengthening of interregional partnerships to develop integrated funding pathways from idea to exit stages. And when I say exit, it's not closing down. It's like selling the company and making the ecosystems richer, and also to build entrepreneurial competence across higher education institution staff. If you want to learn more, just drop me a message, just connect me on LinkedIn, or just look at the website of the project and conclusions. Thanks a lot for hearing me.
Thank you, Dina, for for keeping short your presentation. Maybe a first reaction from my side. If we come, Manuel, if you come back on the last slide. Based on your experience in your university, how did you manage to, for instance, to build entrepreneurial competence across the staff within the university? How did you manage to embed the smart specialization strategy within the governance of the university? While we know that the university, the main mission is about education, research, development. The third mission is only the third one to a certain extent. So how did you concretely, manage to make it happen in your university? If you can give some insights.
Yes, Matthew, thank you for the question. It's a very interesting one. And I need to stress this out. This is happening inside our university and our ecosystem because this is being done from top management leaders of our university. So our rectoral team, they are designing the next strategic planning, and this strategic planning is based upon S3, other different approaches like the ODS is the Sustainable Development Goals. So the strategy comes from above, and from above we have identified inside university engines that are capable of co-designing with top managers of the university and also with other players of the ecosystem, because we are also involved in a European Alliance of Universities. So we co-design capacitation schemes, not only for staff, but also for students, but also for researchers and teachers of the university. So this is a top-down approach. This is like a policy and a planning for 4 years approach, but based on the policies of the European Union, the Union of Skills, etc., and the need of orchestrating, but firstly capacitating staff and people to deal with these new challenges.
Okay, thanks. Maybe one question from the audience, which is quite challenging and which is coming from Marnix Orman from the province of Zeeland in Netherlands, and which is asking how would you approach reinforcing a regional ecosystem without a university? Because in the Zeeland province there is no university, so how do you manage to create a dynamic innovation ecosystem without a university? So that's a question for you, Dina, or eventually for Tiziana or Javier or Mathieu, if you can brainstorm a bit on that, because that's probably one of the key challenges in that region.
Yes, it's a tricky question. It's a hard question for me because I work for the academy for 20 years from now. And I see the role of the academies as a regional levers very, very important. But of course, regions can deal with other regions and can integrate other partners like other universities or academic institutions from other regions to support the orchestration of a set of regions. Okay, so that is a possible answer. A possible solution is for the region that doesn't have academies, that doesn't have universities, to connect, to network, to learn, and to be supported by other academies in other regions or in other countries. Of course, there are also, this is the second answer, there are also other very, very important players in regions, okay? Agencies, rural or urban or etc. Agencies that are governmental or non-governmental, that are public or semi-public or private. There are hospitals, there are municipalities, there are different deputations at regional or council level. So there are lots of and several players that should be part of the system of the orchestrator of the orchestration system. But of course, I should highlight, because I'm an academic, I should highlight that you should have as partners also other regions, institutions, for example, other academies from other regions, to support the strong building of the ecosystem, because every partner counts. Of course, it's not in the case of Beira. In our case, we are a lever for the region, but we work a lot with the regional government, with the companies, with the chambers of commerce, with municipalities, with other players and other actors in the region. So that must be, at least from my point of view.
Yeah. Javier, Tiziana, any other insight or complement on that, please?
Yes, I would say that also depending on the working field of the company, consequently, so the proper academy or research center can be found, and for sure the regional authority can help in this. And then of course there is also the international level. Why not? So favoring a synergy, whereas so this kind of competence from the SME is already available to be in touch with other entities, not only within or well with the neighbor regions, but also abroad. Why not? So also widening the perspective.
I would like to remind a couple of practical examples that could probably work, because it is true, I couldn't agree more with Dina that this is a key point. But for example, in our region, as Mathieu said before, this Castilla y León is larger than 17 member states of the European Union. So we can't have a university in a ratio of 50 kilometers from any company. There are two models that work well. First is to launch technology centers, which we started closely to a university. In fact, several of them were like spin-outs of universities. And the second thing is that there are some campuses, small campuses, which are, let's say, like small delegations of the main university in other provinces. So this kind of models, like I remember now, for example, the Fraunhofer Institute has delegations in other regions. So you always can, with the help or the support of the regional authorities, to start in this way. You don't need to launch a new university, because probably it's not the best idea. It's better to be competitive, to play at the world scale. So completely agree.
Yeah, and on that, I think that one remark from Richard Tuff in the chat is quite valid. Interregional collaboration can also support it by university alliances. So you can you have different way also to access to the knowledge and education training that universities are providing in region where you don't have a strong university or no university at all. So it's a different way also to access to that kind of knowledge. One question for you, Tiziana, on Emilia-Romagna. In the chat, someone is asking to what extent the development that you presented by Emilia-Romagna on the ecosystem is the outcomes of your involvement into I3 project, or is it a prerequisite to enter into I3 project, or it's both sides?
Both sides, because let's say the results achieved comes from different instruments that have been used, and for sure within this there is also the I3, but the instruments are many. And as you said, so let's say that the correct answer is both sides, as you were mentioning.
Okay, thanks. Thanks.
I have, Mathieu, if you allow me, I have a question,
Mathieu,
a complementary question for Tiziana. It's like about your strategic forum on blue economy. Does it work? Do you manage to attract SMEs? I think it's a good KPI, huh? Or do you have to refuse SMEs? It's my first question. And what is the key success factor? Because we present the experience of Emilia-Romagna as like a good practice. So as all good practice, we want to know if it is transferable to other regional ecosystems. So what could be the key success factor that could work maybe in all regions, like not really culturally dependent for any ecosystem?
Basically, let's say that we launched a call where we were asking, in alignment with the S3 strategies, we were announcing, let's say, the complex challenges identified thanks to the investigation already implemented through this intense dialogue with the SMEs. And through this call, we were collecting solutions. When collecting solutions, we were back to the SMEs. And let's say that basically the exercise was how to integrate this kind of solution in order to merge some ideas and to see in the most successful, let's say, merging exercise, providing advice for funding, and some coming directly from the region. So basically, let's say that the answer is the instrument is transferable. Yes, it is. And it is basically funded on this kind of dialogue on the enterprises, but matching with challenges. In our case, the challenges were so related, of course, to blue economy, and if we want to say also related, for instance, for the to the topic of the maritime spatial planning. So how to use the space that we have available to get the most from it, but trying to, matching different objectives, respecting the environment, being fruitful in terms of the use, preventing conflict, but activating synergies among different economic activities. But this can be an exercise that can be transferred to whatever sector. And of course, the involvement of the SMEs is fundamental because they are, let's say, the very practical part. And in conjunction with the research, so environment, you can really activate extraordinary synergies by putting together, let's say, high-tech solution with the involvement of the enterprises in conjunction, so with the then research centers, and also with a bit of funding that firsthand also the regional authority can make available. Then, of course, let's say that the funding mechanism can be different, of different kind, and coming from different parts of, such as also the I3, why not? But the possibilities can be really many. So yes, it is transferable.
Thank you, Tiziana. Maybe a last question, and coming back on the topic that Dina has presented about the role of university, I wanted to to get the contrasts from Castilla y León region and to ask a question to Javier to a certain extent to understand a bit from your experience to what extent universities in the region, and you have many universities, are first entrepreneurial, are key drivers for engagement into I3 project, and what are the universities are facing to play that role from your experience of a completely different regions compared to Central region in Portugal, Javier? If you can provide a bit of your experience on that.
Thank you, Mathieu. And yeah, it's a very interesting question because it's the role of the universities in Castilla y León is central. We have historical universities such as the University of Salamanca and Valladolid, which are among the first European universities with Oxford, Cambridge, and Bologna. And they have a huge impact both in the development, in terms social and economic. For example, the 30% of the expenditure in research and development in Castilla y León comes from the university, which is like 5 points ahead of the Spanish average. They led the patent registration also in the region. They have created, if I am not wrong, like 400 companies in the last 15 years. So the role is a bit particular. I mentioned before that several technology centers started from professors from the university, helping, conducting. They are now autonomous, but some of them started there. So the vision is that they are playing a tremendous role here. There is one of the oldest programs in the policies which started in 2008, the University Business strategy or program is still alive and well recognized because they work all together in what we call the TECUE program. And I wouldn't also forget this, what Richard Tufts mentioned in the chat about the university alliances. You mentioned that before, Mathieu, because they are pushing us, the government, also to do things. And for example, in our region, there are several universities engaged, but the University of Burgos is engaged in the RUN EU Alliance, which is intending a European zone for interregional collaboration, which is totally aligned with the smart specialization strategies and interregional collaboration. The vision is that the universities are immersed in a lot of international networks from a lot of time, and they are also placed in the territory, so they are excellent connectors. So this is our vision, and we could conceive a regional development without them, at least.
Thank you, Javier, for addressing that question. I think now it's time to maybe to conclude a bit our discussion. I think that's I think it's quite interesting discussion that we had, and it's just the beginning of the reflection. I do think that the way that you have developed the concept of the readiness level of ecosystem and the framework that you discuss within the policy discussion group is quite interesting, and we will build on that definitively for the future discussion, because you know that there will be new topics to be discussed in 2026 within the discussion group. So I think it's quite relevant to build on the outcomes of that first policy discussion group on innovation ecosystem management. Probably also the role of intermediaries, be it universities, clusters, incubators, accelerators, and so on, will be further discussed in the next coming months, because we know by experience that those intermediaries are key to manage innovation ecosystem and to build bridges across regions. But the next topic that we are going to discuss in 2 months' time now, in March 2026, I think it will be on the 25th of March, so you can already keep in mind the date. The next topic will be on the value chain creation and challenges for European regions. You know that I would say one of the rationale for the I3 instrument is to put together SMEs across regions and to facilitate the integration of SMEs into interregional value chain. So it's really at the heart of the I3 instrument. But we know that it's not easy to do. It's more easy to discuss about it, but doing that it's quite challenging. And so in that next webinar, we will discuss about how first to map value chain across regions, and we know that some regions have developed quite interesting methods, tools with the innovation intermediaries in the regions, and then we will discuss about the instruments, the incentives that are put in place in different regions to facilitate the integration of SMEs through I3 instrument into those value chain creation. So that will be on the 25th on March, and that topic has been and that webinar will be built on the outcomes of again a policy discussion group that has happened in 2025. So that will be the conclusion of that, and then. Later in the year, that will be after the summer 2026, we will propose again a new round of webinar on policy topics. Of course, the topics we don't know yet what will be the topics because we are in the process of picking some of the topics that will be the object of discussion of new policy discussion groups. So we hope that you will be a lot attending to those sessions. But before March, because at the I3 support facility, we are organizing a lot of events to exchange on different topics. So before March, we are going to discuss in upcoming virtual events, the number 17, on a very concrete and operational aspect on how to structure a rolling pipeline of interregional investments ideas. So there will be I3 project coordinators and managers participating to that meeting. So again, it will be on the 18th of February 2026. So still on Wednesday from 2 to 3:30. So please come. I do hope that there will be a lot of people joining us at that date. So thank you again for your participation. Yes, still we keep in touch and we continue discussion for the I3. I remember you that you can learn more about I3. You just have to go on the I3 support facility website. You can join the I3 support facility community, and you have access to all the policy brief and the documents that the community is delivering. Thank you again for Dina, for Tiziana, for Javier, for Mathieu. I think it has been, thank you again. You have been very nice, very smart at keeping the time short, being very efficient, and for your contribution over the last few months in the discussion group. So thanks again for on behalf of the I3 support facility.
And thanks to all members also. All the members who contributed policy brief, and go to check the policy brief because it's like very rich. We opened a lot of doors, and you're gonna get to other maybe fields or discussion groups. Thank you, Mathieu.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Thank you all. Goodbye.
Bye.